to a Couple of Bills podcast. Featuring Matt and Kim Bills.
Well, here we are again, folks. Episode number 4. This is Matt Bills.
And this is Kim Bills.
And this is a Couple of Bills podcast. Today, we're going to talk about living below your means and the basics of budgeting. Now, when I think back over the last 15 plus years, one of the critical components to our financial health has been living below our means. Whether we're making $50,000 or $60,000 household or significantly more than that, we always lived below our means. And so what does that mean for those who, so Kim, like if I'm a younger listener who's maybe not familiar with that term, what does it mean to live below your means?
Well, I think it all comes down to, first and foremost, knowing what money you're bringing in and what money is going out.
Yes.
And to live below your means, you need to make sure that the money that you are spending on bills, discretionary spending, anything at all is below the amount that you are bringing in every month.
Yep. And, I know it sounds I would say to a lot of people that sounds very basic, but what's interesting is if you look at stats, kind of across, and I guess I'll just speak for the U.S., but I'm sure it's similar across the entire world. Most parts of the world, it's not uncommon for people to have very little idea of how much money they're spending every month versus how much they're actually bringing in.
Sure.
And, go ahead.
Yeah, that type of money management, if you will, is not taught in schools, high schools.
No, and you and I went to a lot of schools. We went to a lot of schools. Growing up, in military families, we moved all over the place. We both went to 4 different schools and for high school, in 2 different countries, and then multiple schools before that.
Right.
And, at any level, basic life skills, let alone financial management was never a common topic. So before we get into, and we're going to go through this in fairly good detail in terms of some of the more basic step-by-step things that we've done in our house to help manage our money. And of course, like anything, it's evolved over the years. And some certain things we don't do anymore. We've gotten to a point where we've had to start bringing in accountants and that kind of thing. And then that's kind of normal with, kind of the path that we've gone on. But the thing is, most people need to employ the following steps that we're going to go through. And you'll be surprised to see just how big of an impact it can make on your overall financial health. Now, before we get into that, quick disclaimer, a Couple of Bills podcast and their host, Matt and Kim Bills, that's us, are not licensed financial advisors. The content discussed on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as direction for what you should do with your money. All decisions pertaining to your personal finances should be discussed with a licensed professional and conducted at your own risk. So now that that's out of the way, one thing I'm really proud of us for doing is, and don't get me wrong, folks, we enjoy life. We work hard, we play hard. We take nice vacations. It's not unheard of for us to fly first class. We enjoy going out to a nice restaurant. There are those kind of little treats in life that we definitely, treat ourselves to. We are not, I would not consider us to be frugal, by any means.
Right.
But,
so this episode isn't going to be preaching that you need to live this very frugal life.
No, not at all. In fact, I can always remember, hearing comments from people saying well, I don't want to, I don't have to eat ramen noodles for the rest of my life. Okay, first of all, ramen noodles are wonderful. They're not healthy.
Yeah,
we don't
could
eat them
have those tonight if we had some.
We don't really eat ramen noodles anymore because I'm trying not to not die and whatnot. So, but man, I miss My favorite were beef and shrimp.
Ew, gross.
Yeah, it was so good. Anyway, now I'm all hungry for ramen noodles. Anyway, so this is not going to be a podcast about, being frugal. But the thing is, sometimes, like, if you see something that we're doing, if you see, oh, wow, drives a nice car, or goes on this nice lavish vacation, just know that is all within our means, and that is all within the scope of our budget and what we have determined to be appropriate spending within our life, and that would still allow us to, do what we need to do to achieve whatever financial goals that we have. So just know that this is going to be more about, how you manage it, and less about like, oh, well, you can't spend a penny. That's not
Right.
And here's the thing. I know there are a lot of financial experts out there, and motivational speakers, and different folks who preach, kind of on every end of the spectrum. And I think we said earlier on that we don't really subscribe to any one person. I think that we just try and subscribe to just the most logical thing that we can for us.
And a lot of this we just figured out along the way.
Yeah, that is true.
Just over time, like you said, anything that we do in terms of personal finances has evolved over the years. And it started out really basic. And that's something that, we can go ahead and dive in right now and just kind of talk about some of those foundational concepts that we started with when we were in the apartment days, as we refer to them,
Yep.
Years ago, early 20s. What did we do to set ourselves up and to stay organized with our personal finances? First and foremost, we put pen to paper. That is crucial, and it sounds so basic, but I know that's not something that really happens in every household, and it is so important. So when I say put pen to paper, what do I mean? Write out, type out, Excel, a piece of paper if that's what you really want. Whatever works for you, write out what your bills are every month. Write out how much your, whoever is earning an income in your household, write out what that income is.
And I know I know sometimes that can be tough, because I know that people have lives to manage, right? Especially, I think about a family who has a bunch of kids, and
Mm-hmm.
they're super busy, and there's just 10 million things going on, and sitting down or finding time to do that exercise, probably seems like a very difficult task, and I'm sure it is.
So perhaps before even putting pen to paper, then create a financial calendar for yourself.
Yeah.
So one thing that I do, and I'm very strict about this, I know that having systems and processes in place to manage different aspects of your life, whether it's a business or in this case, personal finances, is crucial. So personal financial calendar, to me, that means I have a date every single month that I know I need to sit down and do our monthly finances. For me, that's the first of every month. The first of every month, I know that I'm going to, maybe I need to wake up early that day, grab my coffee, go to my computer, sit down, and review the previous month's finances. You can do this on a weekly basis, monthly basis. I'd say monthly at a minimum.
Yeah.
It for sure needs to be done
sense.
at least monthly. And then take a look at what the previous month looked like. When you first get started, if you want to create a spreadsheet, and again, this is basic, but list out what those expenses are, what your income is, and then every single month, take a look at how much you expect to spend in each of those categories and see if you stayed within those goals and guidelines for how much you spent that previous month.
Yeah. I can remember, and I'm sure you remember this as vividly as I do, but the first time we actually put into Excel, and we're talking really basic Excel spreadsheet way back in the day, but columns,
Yep.
and actually seeing okay, we knew I made X, you made X, but when you actually have it on the screen and you actually list everything out,
Yeah.
something just clicks and you go, okay, now I'm actually understanding, or I'm starting to kind of visualize, that, hey, all the stuff that we're doing every month and the amount of money we're spending, okay, that's probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
Or, hey, we're not spending, we're spending too much money in this area and not enough in this area, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Until you get it on paper, or when I say on paper, I don't necessarily really mean paper, computer, whatever the case, whatever tool you're using. Until you get that on paper, it's easy to think, oh, I don't really have a lot of big expenses. Maybe $20 a month for Netflix, $20 here, $20 there. But once you do put that down on paper, it's shocking how quickly everything adds up.
Yeah,
and it can very easily be a lot more than you truly realized.
Yeah, that shit adds up quick.
So that's just basic. And, I'm talking column 1, write down what each of those categories is: car payment, mortgage, Netflix, internet, groceries. Column 2, write down the budgeted amount that you would like to stay within every month for each of those categories. And then for all the remaining columns, have that be the month. So January, February, March, and track every single month how those numbers truly were either adhered to or not.
Yep. And a quick little, I don't know, life hack that will be more obvious to some than others. You can just go on Google.
Yes.
And seriously,
just type this into Google, personal financial spreadsheet, personal financial budget.
There are literally hundreds of free downloadable versions of exactly what we're talking about that are, they're free.
Yep.
They're free.
That's how you get started. And tweak it. And, again, it will evolve over time, but just start with something.
Yep.
And then if you need to, adjust it to best fit your priorities, your goal, and, just what the way that you'd like to see those numbers presented for you every month.
Yep. Leverage the current technology of the day.
Yep. And when we first started doing this, another thing that I loved and a lot of people thought was really crazy if it ever got brought up and anyone ever heard this, we had and still do have to this day many different checking accounts. I'm talking
all the
5 to 10 personal checking accounts.
Yep.
And we did this years ago. What we did was have a dedicated checking account for various things that we were possibly saving money for or budgeting for. And on most banking platforms, you can provide a nickname for each of those bank accounts. And that's how you can really keep track and know what you are dedicating each of those accounts to. For example, we have an account that says vacation as the name of it. We have an account that says Christmas gifts, emergency fund, new home if somebody wants to start saving a down payment for a new home or a new car. An account that says investing for, possibly you're saving up funds to be able to make some sort of a large investment down the road. By having a separate bank account dedicated toward each of these initiatives you have, it makes it that much easier to truly stick to your goals of saving certain amounts of money toward each of those items. So going back to, if it's the first of the month and that's the day that I've set aside that I know I want to work on finances for an hour or two in the morning, then maybe one of the items I'm supposed to be doing is transferring $100 into the vacation account or $50 a month into the Christmas account.
Yeah, and think about the Christmas account. I think it's really relevant considering we're in the month of December.
Yeah, it's December right now.
Yeah. So what's the? So many folks this time of year, are kind of faced with, oh shit, I got to buy everybody gifts, and that can get we all know that can get very, very expensive very quickly. I can remember, us, deploying this philosophy or this practice back when we were, in the apartment.
Yeah.
And, Christmas time coming around, and, we start, like everybody else, you start talking about who wants what, and, how much are certain things going to cost, and do we have enough money to get everything that we need to get. And it was just really nice to know. I remember us sitting down and being like, oh, there's, a couple $1,000s in the Christmas account.
No, not even. We were doing maybe $50 a month.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the year, we had, if all we knew we needed to buy gifts for our friends and family was, $600 or something like that, we had that.
Yeah.
So, the point in that is we didn't have to set aside any large chunk of money at any point in time. It was small, just $50 a month going into that account made a huge difference.
Yeah, it took
at the end of the year.
It took a lot of stress off of us because we didn't have to scramble or stress out over how we were going to give gifts to our family members. So that was because the money was there. The money was there, and we didn't feel bad about spending it.
Exactly.
We didn't feel bad about spending it because I know, Christmas time. There's also a lot of guilt associated with this time of year because people go, so far over budget and so far into debt. Just to buy, stupid shit for people, right? I mean, let's be real. And in many cases, some stuff is meaningful. I get that. but come on.
Look who's a Grinch today.
I'm not a Grinch. I'm not a Grinch. I just know people buy a lot of weird shit for Christmas. Anyway.
But we still do this. I mean, truthfully, I am renaming accounts, renaming the nicknames on accounts all the time when we have a new goal or a new initiative that we're working toward.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And along with that, I think it's very important to have a really good online dashboard for your accounts. So for where we bank, the institution allows us to actually go into our online banking and import the data from other bank accounts, other financial institutions. So what I love about that is I have one place that I log into and I can see all of the other accounts if there's some reason that I have, we have funds in other institutions.
Yeah, thank you for including me. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. I'll try to make a conscious effort of that.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's fine.
So
You'll hear from my lawyer.
But
our lawyer.
This is fun stuff, Matt. Come on.
This is fun.
If your financial institution online banking doesn't allow you to do that, there are third-party platforms like mint.com. Personally, I know I haven't used that. I don't believe you have, Matt, but that's a great option so that you, again, just always know where your money is. You can look at it. You feel that you have a hold of things.
Yeah. Look at it. Look at it.
Oh man, this is fun stuff.
What's next on your list?
All right. Systems and processes. I love checklists. So it's easy to say on the first of every month, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do finances and, do all these things that I have planned out. But it's very easy to forget about that when the first rolls around, or maybe it is the first. You sit down and you think, well, I don't remember what to do. I'm going to go get distracted with something else.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a checklist, you are safe.
Yep.
So truthfully, on the first of every month, I sit down and I'm a pretty paperless person, but this is one thing that I do: print out the first of every month, my 1-page checklist for everything that I want to make sure I knock out when I'm doing our finances for the month.
Yep.
Whether that is transferring money somewhere, paying a credit card somewhere, there's that, I think it's an old Chinese proverb that the faintest ink is more powerful than the strongest memory, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I live by that. I love that.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah.
So create a process, create a financial calendar, write it down, and you will be off to a good start.
Yeah, I love it. All
So
right.
let's see. We could talk about some fun things.
Yeah, let's talk about some fun things.
We might have different definitions of fun. Well, one thing that you and I have enjoyed doing over the years is really utilizing credit cards to our advantage.
Yeah.
So, if you,
Oh my God, credit cards.
know.
Oh my God, no.
but It really can work to your advantage in a couple different ways.
Yeah, and let's remind folks that earlier on, a couple episodes ago, we talked about the fact that we do have credit cards and we actively use them, but we do not misuse them.
Correct. Yep. So, if you're far ahead of the steps that we've already kind of outlined here and you responsibly use credit cards, there are some awesome credit cards to look into, or at least do some research on some credit cards and take a look at some of the points and benefits that a lot of them offer.
Yeah, if you're not leveraging some points, I mean, I gotta tell you, you're missing out. I mean, you really are. And it's because here's the thing: there's a lot of things that you spend money on every month that you're going to have to spend money on anyway. Why not take advantage of some points?
Yeah.
And this is not sponsored, by the way.
No, we're not. So I mean, I'm even wondering if we should state any specific credit card because we are not.
Yeah, we don't have to.
But
Chase. I like Chase. Chase. Hey, Chase, if you ever want to sponsor a podcast.
No, the Chase credit cards are pretty awesome. Take a look at some of the credit cards out there and take a look, by now you should know exactly where you spend a majority of your money. Matt, we are fans of restaurants. We know we eat out. We know dining is a big piece of that.
Yep.
So the credit cards that we opted to get for ourselves are ones that pay a lot of points when you spend money on that category, dining or travel.
Yeah, our kitchen's not real.
I use that microwave.
It's made other than the microwave, everything else is made out of cardboard. It's not none of it's real.
But seriously, there are some amazing credit cards out there, and we have been able to take vacations utilizing the points that we have earned on the credit cards and have not had to spend a penny of our own money to take that vacation.
Yeah, I mean,
no joke.
Think about that. And by the way, and of course, I know spending varies, right? In terms of, we since we own a number of businesses.
I mean, these are our personal credit cards.
Sure.
So,
No, that's true. Yeah. But there have been a number of things over the years, large purchases that, we've been able to, put on those cards personally.
Sure. It takes time to build up the points.
It takes time. So I want to make sure people know that, if you go that route and you start using credit cards that are kind of more focused on building up points, sometimes it takes a little while to build up.
We're talking months and years. Yeah, for sure. And there are credit cards that provide cash back. I mean, really look into those because, that's just it's a no-brainer. If you know that you do responsibly utilize credit cards, then use them to your benefit.
Yeah, and I know
something out of it.
And I know there's some financial people out there that might be like, oh my God, you're talking about credit cards during a financial responsibility podcast.
Hey, like we said, we don't subscribe to a lot of the traditional
concepts.
I don't even want to say teachings because we're really not ever taught anything.
No,
we just kind of pick up on these things.
So go out there and Google, credit cards that offer the best points.
Yeah. So a great resource for that is the Points Guy.
Yeah, Points Guy is incredible.
He, I don't even know if it is a he, but
it's a he. It's a he.
I know that
it's pretty incredible.
Just Google the Points Guy.
Yeah.
He does dig into a lot of the credit cards out there and really explains what each one offers, and you can find one that matches your priorities and your habits and lifestyle.
So again, this all ties back into kind of being a bit savvy, with how you do things, how you spend money. So, if you're going to spend money on something anyway, why not put yourself in a position to be able to do it using points versus your regular money? I mean,
groceries, for example, one of our credit cards is really focused on earning points with groceries. Well, we do need to purchase groceries. Mm-hmm. So why not do it on this card that's going to give me 3 times points on every dollar spent or something along those lines?
Yep. Awesome.
And we talked in a previous episode about building credit and really focusing on your credit score. Because I am a real estate agent, I never see the details of my clients' financial statuses or their credit scores or anything like that. But what I do come across here and there are, unfortunately, people who are prepared in terms of having cash on hand to make a down payment. They're prepared to purchase their first house, but then they do go through the mortgage pre-approval process and find that their credit score has taken a hit somewhere somewhere along the line in recent years. So I certainly advise that it's, take a look at your credit report annually and really focus on building that credit score. Once something happens that causes your score to go down, it can be tricky to get it back up in a timely manner. So just stay ahead of that.
Yeah. So, that of course applies to everyone, but for you younger listeners out there who are just kind of starting out on that journey, on your journey, don't fuck things up early. I'm just saying,
just stay ahead of it.
Just stay ahead of it, guys. I understand that you might want the coolest and the greatest of everything in the world. I get it. I like shiny things too, okay? But here's the thing. I can afford the shiny things. And if you're young and you're just starting out, in most situations, you can't afford the shiny things yet. You will because you're going to be responsible. You're going to be responsible and you're going to work hard and you're going to make money and then you can buy whatever shiny things that you want. But, don't put yourself in the position to where you are going to, buy your first property because you want to be an investor, and then you go and you get in front of a lender and all those horrible decisions that you made are going to quickly catch up with you in the form of, really poor credit.
Yeah, it's just not worth it, guys.
It's not worth it. And it can take a long time to recover from it. So,
months, 2 years.
Yeah. So just be smart, make good decisions. Okay, so that was just a quick and dirty overview of some basics in terms of budgeting, and we are going to expand more from other angles in different episodes. But I think I think that's a good start. But let's there's one piece that we wanted to branch off on a little bit, and that is emergency funds, because that is a concept that is discussed a lot on a lot of different financial programs, and everybody always talks about emergency funds. And we've all heard different guidelines. We've all heard, you need to have 3 months, you need to have 6 months, you need to have a year, you need to have 2 years. We are, much like many other things, we don't subscribe to any one person's advice on the topic, because truly what actually matters is what's going on in our house. And that is the rule that we've always followed is, we need to have as much as we're comfortable having based on the financial requirements of our life. So, so I think there's a number of things you have to keep in mind. Think about what you do for a living. Are you in a field that has extremely high or low levels of, unemployment? Is it something where do you work in a field that that if something happened and you lost your job because of, whatever reason, are you pretty confident that you can get hired on somewhere else fairly quickly? Okay, well, that's something to consider when you're thinking about how much money you need to have in an emergency fund. And then there's the opposite. Maybe you're in a field that, you know that if you lose your job, it's going to be tough to get back in that field with another employer. Perhaps in that situation, you need to have a lot more in an emergency fund.
Maybe you're self-employed.
And and it's all on you no matter what.
So that's probably going to be a larger number.
Yeah. And our handling of emergency funds has evolved over the years, much like many things. I can remember emergency fund being, so when we were in our back in the apartment days again, our family was set to go on a cruise, and they invited us to go, and I think I was 19.
Right.
I think I was 19. We were both 19.
Yeah.
And we were really really gung-ho about saving our money and figuring out kind of our financial, next steps.
Yes.
And we knew that we wanted to, have a lot of money one day.
We knew for sure that because we were 19, I think people were watching to see if we were going to make it or not.
Yeah.
Not that anyone was hoping we were going to, fail and have to move back in with our parents or something, but we knew we were going to make this happen.
Yeah.
We were going to make sure we proved anyone wrong if they thought that, we weren't going to make it happen. So we wanted to get ahead of our finances so so early.
Yeah, and and I got
So yeah, your family members
kind of
invited us.
weird fun fact that just popped in my head. I still have the money that I got for like my 17th birthday.
You technically still have it?
Yeah, like if you really think about it, the money that I got from like a 17th birthday, I don't know why 17th birthday sticks out of my head. I've had many birthdays since then, but the 17th birthday, I don't know.
You're funny.
I got a couple $100, and since that account has never gone below a certain number,
Gotcha.
technically, I still
like
have
the way
that
you
money.
think.
Anyway, all right.
So yeah, our family members, your family members invited us to go on the family cruise.
Yeah, they wanted to go on a cruise, and they'd asked us, hey, you guys want to go? And of course we wanted to go.
Heck yeah.
Who doesn't want to go, on a tropical vacation? And, we sat down and we did the numbers, and we were like, you know what? It wasn't it wasn't the most expensive cruise in the world, but when we thought about our budget and what was going to work with our financial goals, it didn't fit. It wasn't one of the priorities that we had. Discretionary spending, of course, like we mentioned before, we still enjoyed life and we did what we wanted to do for them within reason at the time. But, spending, a few $1,000s on a cruise wasn't really in the cards.
Sure. It would have required us to dip into what we had set aside as our quote unquote emergency fund.
Yeah. And that just wasn't going to happen. Going on a cruise is not an emergency,
Yeah.
and that goes back into the theme of being disciplined.
I was just going to say that word.
Yeah. Discipline, guys, that's a word that that is going to be a regular part of this podcast. Being disciplined is really makes the difference between having a lot of money and not having a lot of money, and doing what you want and not being able to do what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge.
That's true.
So, we made we were bummed. We were like, oh man, but boy, that motivated us. I remember us sitting back. I don't know. We were probably sitting in bed watching TV, kind of bummed out. Like, oh man, I really wish we'd go on that cruise. But it really told us, like, you know what? One day we're not going to have to worry about this.
That's probably the day that we logged into our online banking and said, we're going to call this other account over here vacation.
Yeah,
and we are going to start transferring $50 a month or $100 a month into this account.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So when we have another opportunity to take a vacation, the funds are already there.
Yep.
We don't have to dip into any other account unexpectedly to pay for that.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things, we're going to do an entire episode on what success means to us, because I think that success means, and I've asked, people on my Facebook before, hey, what does success mean to you? And the answer is just, one of the reasons I asked was just to see the wide spectrum of.
If you ask 40 people, you will have 40 different answers.
For sure. And which I think is one of the coolest things about, because a lot of people will say, well, success means this. It's like, you know what? Success does mean that. To you, that's what success means.
Yes.
To us, success is having options. That's how we have always, for us, that's how we've defined it.
Freedom.
Having the ability to have an option of where we want to go for vacation, have an option of whether or not you and I just want to do anything we want one day, whether or not we want to go and buy that thing that we've been looking at, having the option to do that, or just the option to not do anything.
Right. I like to think about what is my ideal day.
Yeah.
Then that is my idea of freedom. That is what I'm working toward, to be able to wake up and live that ideal day.
Yeah. And you're right. Just literally do whatever makes you happy. That is, because, it's not lost on us that a lot of people spend their lives doing everything that makes them unhappy because they have to. And that sucks. And now I know there are a lot of people out there that do that out of necessity because they're caring for somebody, or they've had to step up and do something. And that's, of course, incredible. There's outliers in every situation. But there's also a lot of people who just end up having to do things that they're not happy doing, and a lot of it goes into a lot of the choices that they've made in life.
And I will say this, it's never too late to make a change.
God, no.
When it comes to anything that we're discussing, personal finances, priorities.
Yeah, I don't care if you're 16 or if you're 50, make changes. make changes. The smallest changes can have the biggest impact on your life, short-term and long-term impacts. But anyway, going back to that cruise situation, I think that was kind of a light bulb for us was, we never want to be in a situation again to where we can't do something, that we want to do. And I think that was like, you know what, we're going to work really hard at this. We're going to work really hard at this, and we're going to keep making good decisions, and we're going to stay disciplined so that, again, one day we can sit back and say, you know what, hey, we can do whatever we want.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's huge. All right, guys. Well, this was a good episode. We covered a number of good points. Definitely go back, re-listen to the episode, take some notes if you didn't the first time, figure out how you can apply some of these things in your day-to-day life. We are going to be back soon with episode number 5. We're turning these out more quickly than I think we originally thought we were going to. But honestly, we're having a lot of fun doing it. This is a lot of fun for us. Again, I mentioned earlier, it sounds like people are enjoying it, and it's helping.
Thank you for the feedback, everybody. It's amazing.
It's really, really, really cool. I mean, it means a lot to us. So definitely jump out there on Apple Podcasts and, leave a comment. Comments help a lot to make the podcast more visible to others. Leave a rating. And then, of course, check us out on any other platform that you enjoy your podcast. Jump over to Instagram, give us a follow. Definitely subscribe to us on YouTube. It's a couple of bills across all social platforms. And
let us know how you employ some of these concepts.
Yeah, we really want to hear about it. Yeah, what's helpful, what's unhelpful. And also drop us a comment on any of our social platforms to let us know, hey, can you guys talk about this? Whatever.
Please do.
Yeah, if you have ideas for topics. I mean, we spend, a good portion of our day thinking about what's going to be on the next episode. And we always welcome that feedback from you guys. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody have a fantastic rest of your week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and be a good person.
Thanks, everyone.